What is going on, all you Pokemon collecting maniacs out there? This is Ryan, the PikaPikaPaPa, and here we are with another top 10 list of cards that have exchanged hands the most on TCG Player for the previous month. Now, I love doing this list every single month. We have done this for 9 consecutive months in a row now, and without exception, every single time we walk away with a whole new crop of awesome learnings. And I'm going to tell you right now, this video, it's not the exception, right? Like this is a video unlike anyone we've ever seen. Now, we've seen a lot of stability in the past, but then we've seen certain things like rotation happen, which totally upends the list. But guess what? This list has been upended again this month, and it is really cool because we're also starting to see some correlation between a new video series that I've started doing here. So I do a video series on high demand, low supply cards on TCG Player, and we're starting to see the way that video series links into this video series. And I love it when series on this channel start to link together because we're always trying to play chess when everybody else plays checkers, and the more tools in our toolbox that we have, the more correlating data that we have, that's just going to help us get better and better at this in the future. Now, here's what I will say. This isn't just the list of the top 10 cards that exchanged hands the most on TCG Player last month. Like, we're also going to look at the booster box or elite trainer box that this product comes out of. So say it's a Crown Zenith card, right? There's no booster boxes for Crown Zenith. We'll look at the ETB price instead of the booster box price. I also have this really cool little star system that I love. So, well, the stars represent the number of consecutive months that a card has been on this list. Now, we have cards that come on the list, off the list. So if it was on for 2 months and off 1, and then it's back on this list, it starts back at 0 because for me, I'm looking for continuation of demand. Now, again, this isn't my information. This comes straight to me from TCG Player, which I think just goes ahead and, really validates it, right? This isn't PikaPikaPaPa math. This isn't me trying to scrub some websites. Like, this is information TCG Player sends directly to me. And when we're talking about macro level, like hobby level information, eBay is the #1 place for buying and selling Pokemon cards, but guess what? TCG Player is in second. So when we can get this kind of information straight from the source, it is incredibly impactful, and we learn all kinds of cool stuff. Now, I just got done talking about how a bunch of different videos layer into each other. So if this kind of stuff gets you excited, hey, listen, we're building an amazing community. Hit that subscribe button. If you like what you see, give us a thumbs up. Questions or comments, drop them down below. Those 3 small things go a long way in helping my small channel out. It lets me know you appreciate the work that I put in. So, just as important as what's on this list, we always talk about what's fallen off the list. And I told you that this list this month is unlike anyone we've ever seen before because look at all these awesome pieces of cardboard that fell off. I don't think I've ever done this, and we've been doing this for 9 consecutive months. I don't think I've ever done this and seen such awesome cards all fall off the list at the same time, right? So both of those Crown Zenith cards, the Giratina, the Arceus, right? Those amazing cards from Crown Zenith fell off the list. They were number 9 and number 7 last month. The Moonbreon of all cards, that was number 2, right? It was the number 2 card that exchanged hands the most in our last iteration, and guess what? It has fallen off the list. The Giratina from Lost Origin, which I love so much, has fallen off the list. The Charizard from Celebrations by the Giratina up there. The one from Lost Origin, that was driven by playability, which a lot of cards on this list, as we're going to get into it, you'll see some of them are driven by playability as well. And then, of course, the Iono. However, I think there might be 1 or 2 Ionos from Paldea Evolved that still make it. But it's really interesting to see the cards that have fallen off because there's some awesome pieces of cardboard on here. So if you think about it, if these awesome cards are falling off the list, there's got to be a lot of collector interest into some of these other cardboard spaces that we're going to be talking about here in just a minute. So now let's get into it. Coming in at number 10. I laugh about this every single month. This card has been on this every single month consecutively without falling off. The Lugia from Silver Tempest. It just continues to go on and on and on and on and on. We've never had a card with such, wherewithal and stability here. So listen, the booster box from Silver Tempest is down $12 since last month. The card itself is down $10 since last month. We're starting to feel like, hey, listen, Silver Tempest, we know it went through a restock. We know that the price on the booster box is coming down. We know that this card is starting to fall down as well too. But the fact that this has been in such high demand for 9 consecutive months to me simply goes to shore up the fact that guess what? Yeah, it's coming down. Yeah, the Pokemon market's getting a little softer right now, but in the long term, 3, 5, 10 years from now, this card is going to do just fine because people obviously love it to make it on the list every single month. So Lugia is still on the list, coming in at number 10. I will be heartbroken when it finally falls off the list. Hopefully next month it is not that. Now, coming in at number 9, I hinted to this. Guess what? Of course, the Iono Special Illustration Rare from Paldea Evolved. This card is just one of many reasons why I love that Paldea Evolved set. And I'm telling you right now, like, this card is down, or this card is actually up $1 since we did this video last month. You see it's been on here 2 months in a row. The booster box is only down $1, so it might start to be kind of leveling off here. One of the things we talked about over the last couple times when we've seen this card is we've said, hey, listen, you know, the Pokemon pop and flop usually lasts for quite a while, but if you look at the price trend there for this card, it has been flat really only since, you know, it flopped after the first 2 or 3 months. But it's really been flat here for a while, and I think that just goes to, you know, really talk about, even though the Pokemon market is really soft right now, or getting softer, this card has done well, and I think it just bodes for the long-term performance of this card. I think it's going to do really good. I also think Paldea Evolve is going to be a great set in the long run. I love the Magikarp. I love a ton of the cards that are in it. So when you see this booster box at $95, I think that is an absolute steal. It is certainly something that whenever I get an extra $100 here or there, I never hesitate to pick up an extra sealed booster box of Paldea Evolve, because I think in the long run it is going to be a great buy and hold. Now, getting into this next one right here, the Charizard from the base set. So 3 months in a row, back-to-back at number, back-to-back, it's not at number 3. I have number 3 on there, but it was number 3 last month. So back-to-back months on this list. It has been doing really, really well on here for 3 consecutive months. Now, you look at the price right there. The price, the card is up actually $10. And I talked about this in one of my earlier videos. I said that when people start to get a little fearful in the market, like they're not investing, they're not collecting Pokemon cards, but when people start to get a little more trepidation in their purchases, the future and the present start to look a little uncertain. They start to look in the past, and this Charizard, it doesn't get any further back in the past than this Charizard. So I think that seeing this card perform well, I think seeing this card on the list for 3 consecutive months, I think it does nothing but shore up the fact that, hey, listen, even though prices are doing what they're doing right now, people are still readily investing. People are still super excited to be in the Poke space. And I'm in the middle of putting a button on the PSA graded video that I do every single month. We do this giant grading report video where we look at the 4 big grading companies and we look at their trends over the last month. And I'll tell you right now, after putting that data together, I guarantee you there is no doubt that the TCG space is in a fantastic position, and I can't wait to share that with you. Love seeing this base set Charizard on the list 3 months in a row. Now, the next one we're going to talk about right here is we finally have an Obsidian Flames here on the list. So Obsidian Flames, we haven't had a single card make the list ever since it came out. Finally get the Charizard here. We know it's a heavy Charizard set. Guess what? Spoiler alert. This might not be the only Charizard that you see on this list. Obviously, it started off north of $50. It has come down to $25. Had a little bit of a fluctuation up last month, but now it's starting to come back down. The other thing that I'm going to say too is if you look at the Obsidian Flames booster box at $118, now all of this comes straight from TCG Player, obviously, but the fact of the matter is that Scarlet and Violet and Paldea Evolved booster boxes, after it had been out as long as Obsidian Flames has been out now, those booster boxes were really in the $100 range. So the fact that this one is starting to hold steady at $118 for Obsidian Flames, obviously I think we all have some excitement around it because it's a, you know, it's a Charizard set. Hopefully we think in the long run, you know, after the Pokemon pop and flop, some of these Zards will start to gain some momentum and be good long-term buy and holds. You know, I think that this booster box is going to do okay. I'm not pulling the trigger at 118. I'm going to give it more time, let it flush out, especially when I can pick up Paldea Evolved, right, for sub 100. I think that's going to be an awesome opportunity, and we'll see where this lands up. But I'm really excited to see that these Charizard is on here, and guess what? We might see a couple more as we get into this. Coming in at number 6, this is what I was talking about earlier when we're starting to see a bunch of cards from this list correlate to that new video series where it's high demand, low supply. Again, data that comes straight from TCG Player. This Iono card has been on that series every single time since we started doing those videos. And why not, right? Like, this card has amazing playability. Like, this card is super hot in the actual TCG space. This is a really affordable way to get the awesome functions of this card into your deck without spending $100 on the special illustration rare. And you will see that the prices for this have also been going up. Even the holo foil, the non-holo foil, like the prices on this have been going up. So when I'm talking about seeing this, this might be an opportunity if you're an investor or a collector like me and you've ripped a whole lot of Paldea Evolved and you have some of these sitting on the sidelines. You know, maybe you might think, hey, this is a good time to capitalize on that, right? Like, I can sell this and buy a whole pack of cards, you know what I mean? Give me a chance to pull something that might be better fit in my personal collection. Now, the card on the next slide that we're going to talk about might give us the indication that we should hold on to this a little bit longer, and that's because this is another card right here coming in at number 5 for a Seal Stone that has been on this list a lot. It has been on that high demand, low supply video list a ton. And you know, we just kept saying, hey, Forest Seal Stone is going to slow down. Like, people are obviously filling their decks with it. Like, it just can't continue on this rocket ship up and to the right. But guess what? It has. Look at that price graph. Like, it is absolutely amazing to me that the value of this card continues to go up and up and up and up and up. So this card is much later in that hot cycle than the Iono that we just talked about was. So even though the Iono has had a a lot of price appreciation. Following the trend of this Forest Seal Stone, that might tell us, hey, listen, we can wait another month and a half. Like, we have that high demand, low supply video that we look at every 2 weeks here on this channel, and that will let us know, as long as that Iono is still in high demand, low supply, I think it's going to continue to go up in price. Just look at what this Forest Seal Stone card has done in regards to price over the last, I don't know, 6-7 months. It has been absolutely insane. Ever since this card was legalized again, it has been on fire, and I think this is a great lesson for us to do, and it's something for us to keep, an eye on as we're doing these high demand, low supply videos here that come out every 2 weeks. So, getting in at number 4, as I said, some more Obsidian Flames Charizards. This is the gold one. Everybody thought this was going to be the hot chase card. It started off well over $110, and then it has absolutely dropped like a freaking rock. Now, the interesting thing about this was, we all know that art is a big part of the Pokemon collecting and investing space, right? Like, you gotta love the art. You gotta think it's fire. That's what drives a lot of demand. Of course, pull rates matter, rarity matters, all of that as well. But this was a card that was met with some trepidation when it came to how people were going to feel about the art, right? And the price to me indicates that there aren't a lot of people who are in love with this gold Charizard. Now again, it has been very, very flat over the last couple months. That tells me that it just came out with way too high of expectations up in there in the 110, 120 range. Then it's come back down. The fact that it's flat, who knows what's going to happen? Do I think it's going to pop up to $110 anytime in the next 12, 18, 24 months? Probably not. But do I think $30 could be close to a bottom for this really, really awesome Charizard? It's hard to say this early in, but I'm telling you what, the demand is there, the card is there, the character is there, so who knows? All I know is I'm excited to start seeing these Charizards and start seeing some Obsidian Flames cards on this list coming in at number 4. Love it. Now, number 3, this other Charizard. Again, Charizards have become, there's a Charizard deck out there right now, which is really playable, which is getting a ton of love out there, and this card is a big focus of that, and that's interesting to see. It went through the Pokemon pop and flop right off the bat, but then it just popped right back up, and then it flopped right back down. We don't normally see, this kind of W pattern right here that this is starting to exhibit, but again, every time it comes up, it comes back down, and that's something to keep an eye on. Now again, another card that has been featured heavily on our high demand, low supply list, so I think we can continue to keep an eye on that, but we know from a couple different data sources that this is a high demand card. So if you're out there, you have it in your collection, even if it's not something that you think is a long-term buy and hold investment, it might be a short or mid-term one, right? Like, it might be worth saying, hey, where does this end up in the next 3 months? Where does it end up in the next 6 months? Simply because I think that we've seen enough trends to say this could have some future upside to it. But again, another Charizard from Obsidian Flames up here. The fact that Obsidian Flames booster boxes are at $118 still, like, the demand for these cards is what's driving the price of that booster box to flatten out a little bit earlier than Scarlet and Violet and Paldea Evolved did. So really cool stuff for us to keep an eye on as we continue to pound through this video. And I will tell you this, seeing this card on here didn't surprise me. We all knew 151 was going to be absolute fire. We knew that the demand for 151 was going to be through the roof, but we have never seen a set drop and a card immediately pop on the list like this card did right here. It's just never happened. And not only did it end up on the list, it didn't end up at number 10, 9, 8, or anything like that. This is number 2 on the list of the top 10 cards that have exchanged hands the most on TCG Player. Now, you can look at the Elite Trainer box price there on the left at $55. Obviously, it was going for a mint before that was officially launched. Everybody was buying it. Everyone was kind of FOMOing, and I don't blame them. This is one of the products that I think we all believe in, has great long-term price appreciation. So you see that it came back down, popped back up, and now it's starting to come back down a little bit, but this card was all the way up in the $170 range. It dropped like a rock, but now it's starting to come back up, and then again, it's starting to come back down. Just something we're going to have to keep an eye on, right? Not enough data points. This is brand new, just came out a couple weeks ago. So we'll have to keep our eye on it, but to me, the most exciting thing about this set and about just the overall excitement in the Pokemon community is the fact that this card was only out for a couple weeks and it still found its way onto the top 10 list at the number 2 spot. For me, we talk about artwork. This isn't my favorite artwork. I'm not going out there and chasing this card, but I do think it's going to be cool for us to watch and see how the collector sentiment is after this for a while. Super proud of this Charizard. Super proud to see it on the list. And coming in at number 1... another Charizard. Like, for me, this is super exciting, right? We've seen this list for 9 consecutive months. We see a couple Charizards on there here and there. There's been a lot of swirl on the market over the last 3, 4, 5 months. People have been talking about, is Charizard losing his luster? Are people falling out of love with Charizard? Even in the grading report video that I do for you guys, we've seen Charizard fall from the number 1 most graded Pokemon to the number 2. Pikachu took that top spot. But to see 6 Charizards out of 10 on this list, I think that's really exciting. Obviously, Obsidian Flames is driving a lot of that. that. Obviously, playability is driving some of this, but this is just an awesome card. You know, this card was the big chase card for Obsidian Flames, came out in the $250 ranges. We talk about this all the time. Never buy these cards right off the gate. You know, wait 6, 8, 10 months, see what the market trend is doing. But it's leveled off at about $71. Again, we'll have to keep an eye on it and see where it ends up with. But I think this is a great card. I love the fact that we're starting to see some more ultra modern cards on here, right? We've seen a lot of those Sword and Shield era cards, the Moonbryon, we saw the Giratina, we saw the Crown Zenith cards, you know, they fell off the list. So when we're starting to see the Scarlet and Violet cards, you know, start to really dominate this top 10 list, I think that's a very exciting thing. It lets me know that a lot of people are super interested, you know, in these new sets, which a lot of us, I mean, let's be honest, we felt like, at least I felt like Scarlet and Violet kind of fell a little flat, but that's because I have recency bias, right? Recency bias means I think about what's going on now, and I kind of forget about what's happened in the past. And this always happens. Pokemon starts off, their first sets of a new era are always a little soft, and they kind of save a lot of the big hitters for the back end. So excited to see all these Charizards on this list, excited to see all of these Scarlet and Violet cards on this list. And I'm going to say this, listen, this is a fun video. I've got that grading card video that's going to come out on Sunday. I can't wait to get it in front of you. There's just some amazing learnings from that. And again, we do all kinds of fun stuff like this on the PikaPikaPapa channel. So if this excites you, hey, listen, hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, drop your questions or comments down below. I appreciate you. You have an epic one, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody. Bye.